Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday, June 5th, 2022 live stream for studentloanjustice.org. My name is Alan Collins. If you're new to the group, welcome. What took you so freaking long? We are the oldest, largest, first, and in many ways, only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. We've been around since 2005. I'm sorry to say. We've been featured in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and 60 Minutes, Top Story, and Fortune Magazine, and Fox News most recently. Many, many other places. We've done a lot of things. We've seen a lot of stuff. So let's just leave it at that. If you're watching us on Facebook or on Twitter and you have a question, comment, or otherwise, editorial opinion or otherwise, by all means, throw it out there, and I will be very, very happy to read it aloud and respond to it as is appropriate. So I hope everybody is doing well out there in the world. It is a beautiful day here in the Northwoods, Wisconsin. I'm very glad to say snow is now a distant memory. Very, very happy to say that. So tonight I want to talk about the road ahead. You know, we've been doing this for way too freaking many years, and I can tell you that for the first time, literally in the 17 years that we've been around, I am finally seeing the actual grassroots actually awaken. People are finally throwing off the shame and stigma and stank associated with being in student loan debt, and they're throwing all that away. And good for them, because they don't need it. None of us need that bullshit. This is, as I like to say, we didn't break this lending system. This lending system tried to break us. Student loans are unconstitutional, ladies and gentlemen. The founding fathers, who they themselves were being savaged under debt to British banks and merchants, they called for uniform bankruptcy laws in the Constitution ahead of the power to declare war and raise an army. They also called for equal protection under the law. But for some reason, here we are 300 years later, 250 years later, and those bankruptcy rights that they called for are gone uniquely from student loans. Also, statutes of limitations are gone. Also, truth in lending laws. Also, fair debt collection practices. Even state usury laws are not applicable to federal student loans. So these loans have been weaponized against us, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not our fault. Before the pandemic, 80% of all federal student loan borrowers were either unable to pay, and that's like 60%, or they were paying, and their loan balances were going up. And many of these people were stuck in what's called negative amortization, where even if they did what they were told, their loan balance still went up if they were making regular payments. So yeah, guys, this is not a legitimate lending instrument. It is not. It's not constitutional. And by the way, the founding fathers also repealed both slavery and indentured servitude. Now, I'm not comparing student loans to slavery. Slavery was far worse, but it is debt slavery, and there is no doubt about that. And it does come knocking on the door of being very close to indentured servitude. So there's that. But, you know, I could also talk about due process and other things. Student loans are not constitutional, ladies and gentlemen. The smart people in the House and Senate in 1976, smart, not smart, including junior Senator Joe Biden, I'm very sorry to have to say, they really screwed up when they started monkeying around with the bankruptcy laws for student loans. And lo and behold, here we are, 40 years later, 44 years later. And yep, this is what you get when you start taking bankruptcy protections away from a loan. And hopefully you know the big numbers. They're just disgusting. I don't want to repeat them here. But if you have any questions or comments on Twitter or on Facebook, I will gladly read them aloud here on air. Couple of announcements. I'm very thrilled to announce that we and our members were featured in a surprisingly very good story at the place called The Balance a few days ago. I urge you strongly to read that article. We're also featured in the New York Times last week. We were featured in The Guardian, and our research was featured in The Guardian a couple Sundays, so 2 weeks ago. And in April, we went into the Lion's Den and went toe-to-toe with Dana Perino on Fox News Live. And in my humble opinion, I think we tore them up. I think that we represented extremely well. And I hope that if you go to our YouTube channel or maybe our website, you can see the interview for yourself. I think you'll be pleased. We love going into the Lion's Den, guys. It's where we will win this fight. And so anything you can do to get us on with, Tucker Carlson, or if Rush Limbaugh was still alive, that would be something. We love going into the Lion's Den and answering all the hard questions. They are easily knocked down. We are right. And supposedly right makes might. And hopefully that interview that I did, that little dust up with Dana Perino at Fox News, proves that. But we love that, guys. We love that. So anything you can do to get us into a good fight is what we are good at. We've been sharpening this blade for many years now, many more years than I ever expected we would be. And so we're in a good spot. Here's the spot we're in right now. As a matter of fact, we've got a bill, S-2598. The bill will return bankruptcy protections to federal student loans with a 10-year waiting period. It's not perfect, but it's pretty damn good. Now, nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is a terrible thing to have to do. But if you've been with this group for any kind of length of time, hopefully you understand viscerally now that we're not going to see Joe Biden cancel student loans meaningfully, no matter what he might trot out. As long as the threat, the leverage of bankruptcy is returned to the debt. We've been tricked over 17 years, guys, many times with fake loan cancellation gimmicks thrown out as cheap substitutes for the bankruptcy rights that should have never been taken away from student loans. We don't want to be tricked again, guys. Joe Biden could have a press conference tomorrow and say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to cancel up to $50,000 or up to $75,000 or even up to $100,000, up to $1 gajillion in federal student loans. And it will be meaningless. Because as long as the threat of bankruptcy remains gone, they will bureaucratize whatever loan cancellation gimmick they trot out to death. That's what they do. That's what they've always done. And that is what they will do again. So don't be fooled by all the nonsense we see in the media right now. And believe me, guys, we are full on board with loan cancellation. These loans need to be taken to the bath and drowned in the tub. And I mean 100% every nickel of them. This group started the petition in March 2020 that ignited the public conversation around the concept of canceling student loans by executive order. And we're thrilled. And we're very thrilled that leading people in Congress like Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer embraced the concept. But we are not thrilled in how they Washingtonized the concept and put these little childproof guardrails on the concept of canceling student loans. This up to $50,000 is bullshit, guys. Pardon my French, but it is. We're thrilled that Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer embraced the concept, but we are not happy at all with how they dumbed it down and essentially made the whole debate stupid. Oh, is Biden going to cancel only 10,000? Or is he going to cancel loans at all? Or is he going to go all the way up to 50,000? That's nonsense, guys. That whole thing is stupid. As long as the threat of bankruptcy remains gone, everything they might say or do is just noise. It's just, it is a trick. It is a sick joke. And you and me, I'm a default borrower, by the way, are the punchline. Guys, please just be smarter than that. Hey, we've got some comments already. I see Vanjie Unruh is with us here tonight, as is Leslie Fishman and others. Let me dial these smarter than that. Wonderful comments. And so Leslie Fishman says, can you all see me? I can see your comment, Leslie. Certainly can. Vanjie Unruh says, what is the holdup on S-2598? That's a great question, Vanjie. So S-2598, our bill, that is the thing that is needed to give us the leverage that is required to compel actual, not fake, student loan bankruptcy. It's sitting in the Senate right now in the Judiciary Committee. The chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Dick Durbin, is the sponsor of the bill. And the two co-sponsors on the bill are Republican Josh Hawley and John Cornyn from Missouri and Texas, respectively. I don't know why the bill isn't doing anything right now, Vanjie. I honestly don't. I know that discussions are ongoing. Our discussions are ongoing behind the scenes in the swamp, or whatever you want to call it. The last conversation I had with our contacts inside the Senate was that the bill is in a great position, and Senator Durbin has every intention of getting that bill out of committee up for a vote. So, but I'm like you, I'm concerned. You know, I see people from, quite frankly, both the right and the left sort of sneakily, very quietly, sort of whisperingly, trying to kill the bill. And there's nothing I can really prove yet, but you know, I'm not a dumb guy, guys. I've got a pretty good spider senses on this issue. And I can tell when the swamp is very quietly trying to do things. And I can tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, the trick that is in play right now is the same trick that they played forever. They would like to do a brand new income-driven repayment plan to throw onto the heap of existing income-driven repayment plans. And they want this to be a cheap substitute for the bankruptcy protections that the founding fathers called for ahead of the power to frickin' declare war and raise an army in the Constitution. So that is the trick. And so I don't know. I mean, that is the current state of things with the bill. What I just said is pretty much what I know. I mean, the good news is, and by the way, if you're a Republican, you're very welcome in this group. If you're a Democrat, if you're a Libertarian, if you're a Green, if you're a communist, a socialist, or a Nazi, you're very welcome in this group. We are a fiercely nonpartisan group. And this is a nonpartisan bill, by the way. Well, bipartisan, I guess. So whatever your political stripes may be, you're very welcome in this group. We do ask that you only talk about student loans, because as soon as we start talking about anything else, gun control and abortion and immigration, all those other issues, things go sideways. So, but having said that, we are seeing people, we are politically aware. We are nonpartisan, but we are partisan aware. And on the good side, I am seeing Republicans now publicly, like the senior policy director at the American Enterprise Institute, for example, very deep, dark Republican thing. He is now calling for the return of bankruptcy protection to student loans. That is something that's very good. And, you know, the Democratic Party, I shouldn't even have to tell you, they have multiple times adopted the return of bankruptcy protection to student loans into their party platform. So I truly hope that I'm preaching to the choir when I say that most, if not all, Democrats in Congress should be on our side. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that the reality of the fact of the matter is that even liberal elites that are beholden to this lending scam, and there's many, I mean, the colleges love this thing. They are trying very surreptitiously to kill the push for bankruptcy, guys. This is truly, this is the heart. This is the core of this issue. There's no more important thing than bankruptcy. So what is the holdup, Vanjie? I wish I knew, but I do know that these things do not happen in a vacuum. That is one thing I can say for sure. You know, we wouldn't be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order, but for this group. We definitely would not have this bill to fight for right now, but for this group right here. I kid you not. So what we do, what you do matters. And if you forget everything I say tonight, I will say this. Please go to our website, studentloanjustice.org, and do our daily action. In fact, if you've never done a daily action, do a week or a month's worth of our daily actions. They help. It's the most efficient, most effective use of your time if you actually want to see these loans gone. I mean, maybe you want student loan cancellation. You gotta be with us. You gotta fight with us. You gotta fight for bankruptcy. we're not going to see meaningful student loan cancellation until we get bankruptcy. And I will say that at least one more time tonight, I'm pretty sure. Whether you want your loans canceled, whether you want a break on interest, whether you want some sort of negotiated settlement, whether you need to file for bankruptcy. Got to fight for bankruptcy, guys. And we have been sharpening the sword for many years. We know the path to get loans canceled, and that is the path. So everything that I do is the most efficient way that I can think of to hit the key people at the key times. So these daily actions are just incredibly good use of your time. And they're quick, by the way. You need a Twitter account. I hate Twitter. You hate Twitter. Get a Twitter account. Got to have a Twitter account. 80% of the stuff we do in our daily actions is Twitter. But go to our website and do a week or maybe a month or maybe even 6 months worth of our daily actions. I would also say do the special project that you will see at the website, studentloanjustice.org. Do the special project. It's fun. It's like a box of chocolates, as a matter of fact. And I will leave it to the imagination. I will leave it to you to discover why I say that. So special actions, daily action, special action. If you really want to see this problem solved, that is what you will do. And we need you. Like, I would beg you if I thought it would make a difference. I would get on my knees and beg you to do our daily actions. That's how important they are. And if I seem desperate, believe me, guys, we are no, fly by night, weak group. We've got over 1 million people in our group between our petition signers and our Facebook group and all of Twitter, all of our other platforms. We've got like 1.3 million people, and that is a massive muscle to flex. But that only matters when you help us flex it. That's the effing most important thing that I'm going to tell you tonight. So Leslie Fishman says, fuck bankruptcy and fuck all of these deeply lined politicians. I think I get your point there, Leslie. I agree. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. It's a terrible thing to have to do. And this is the hardest lesson, the most important truth I have for anybody. Until and unless we at least get the threat of bankruptcy returned, we're not going to see meaningful student loan cancellation, guys. Not going to happen. So whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy really doesn't matter. And quite frankly, I think very few people, maybe even no one, will actually have to file when we get the right returned. Just having the threat of bankruptcy back on our side, it means everything. So you may hate it, but you kind of got to fight for it if you want to see these loans gone. Hey, Vanjie says, is it true that if we give you a list of heart, it pays money? No, but I appreciate it, but there's no monetary value on it, Benji. No. We're not monetized. This group is not monetized, guys. The only way that we make money is by just normal donations. And we don't have any secret deals. We don't make click revenue, none of that crap. We don't do that. We're a very honest group. And so, hey, Leslie says the hold too many long pockets are being lined. If you're saying that Congress is corrupt, yeah, you're right. I could talk for 3 hours on the corruption of Congress. Maybe you should get my book though. Check out this. Oh, speaking of selling stuff, you can buy my book, Student Loan Scam. I never plug my book, by the way, like not even once, maybe twice a year, I'll talk about my book. But if you read The Student Loan Scam, and quite frankly, I think you can find free versions of the book here and there in various places on the internet. But read it if you want to know about corruption. We got corruption. Hey, Doug Grossman from Indiana is here with us tonight. Hey, Doug. Doug says, I'm happy to see new members join this group. Yeah, we're getting quite a few new members recently. In fact, yesterday, we added 3,000 or 4,000 people onto our petition, I'm glad to say. Doug says, Doug's reading my mind, apparently. We really need to do a blitz as a whole group to get back on Tucker. I would like to get on Tucker for the first time, actually. We've never been on Tucker, Doug. I would love to go on Tucker. Tucker Carlson in the world of terrible, evil, corrupted Republicans. Tucker Carlson is a breath of fresh air. I kid you not. As I said, we're a nonpartisan group, fiercely, guys. But politically, the Republicans have tended to oppose us. At least publicly, they have tended to oppose us. And that's been true since 2005 and before. But Tucker Carlson, I'm telling you guys, he gets it. He gets it. In fact, if you go to bit.ly/hear it from Tucker, all one word, you will see Tucker Carlson strongly taking our side and saying all the stuff that we say, like this lending system, it needs to be replaced. This lending system is a national threat. And it is. So, yeah, I would love to go back on Tucker. Hey, Vanjian Rue says, I was wondering if Cornyn signing on was a code to Republicans to kill it. He is also co-sponsoring S1098 to split joint spousal consolidation loans that is sitting too. I noticed that, Vanji. That's a really weird thing. So there's two borrower-friendly bills that Vanji mentions. Our bill, which will return bankruptcy to student loans. Another bill which solves a very sort of a smaller sort of in the weeds problem about people who got stuck in loans along with their spouses many years ago and now can't separate themselves from the thing. But for some reason, John Cornyn is co-sponsored on both of those bills, which is the weirdest, oddest thing in the world. I'm not going to draw any conclusions about it, Vanji. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's great. Having two Republican senators on our bill is a very key thing. I mean, I cannot tell you how important that is. Bipartisan is what's going to solve this problem, guys. You know, we've been stuck in the partisan cracks forever on this. And so any Republican support that we can get, in fact, the most important thing that anybody can do right now is getting a Republican senator to co-sponsor S2598. Truly, it is the most important thing. But yeah, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Like somebody else or me or somebody else was thinking, like maybe he's got a relative that's screwed on their student loans or something personal in it for Cornyn. I don't understand. I don't know why, but we're glad to have his support. And quite frankly, Texas is being wrecked by federal student loan debt. You know, student loan debt, federal and private, is $141 billion in the state of Texas. $141 billion. What would happen if we ripped $141 billion out of the wallets of the people of Texas, put all that money on a big truck, and ship that money back to Washington, D.C.? Well, I'll tell you, it would wreck the state of Texas. It would turn it like second world or something. Would not be good. So everyone in Texas, Ted Cruz and all these, and Ted Cruz is an asshole, by the way. He fought against student loan borrowers in the Supreme Court, just so you know. But even Ted Cruz should be co-sponsoring our bill. So, hey, Doug says, if you've been following this group for over a week and have not been doing the daily actions, please leave. My opinion. Doug, thank you for saying that. You know, I've said that in the past. If you're not helping, we kind of don't want you on this group. I don't mean to be an asshole about it, but we're not here for your entertainment, guys, and you're not better than us. This is a working, fighting group, and we will get nowhere unless you help, because these are your loans and this is your problem. And that is the most important thing I will say tonight. So help. Do our fucking daily actions. Pardon my French. You know, speaking of which, we are getting some help from some unlikely places these days. Very happy to report that John Cusack, the actor who I've liked since, I think, like, was it Weird Science, or maybe it was not the Breakfast Club, but the other one with Molly Ringwald. John Cusack, everybody knows him. He's a great actor. He has been shouting out about the predatory debt enslavement nature of student loans. He's actually speaking some important truth, and that is exceedingly rare for any Hollywood people, I have to say. For years and years and years, we beg people like Oprah Winfrey and Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga and all these other celebrities to help us, and we've just been pretty much crickets. But John Cusack is a thinking man, and I appreciate that he is speaking out on this issue finally. And I hope he will continue, by the way. Forward this to him if you would. He's on Twitter at John Cusack. Thank him, and maybe point him to some research that would make his argument even sharper and stronger. Like the fact that older people now outnumber younger people with student loans. That's a very important fact that nobody knows. If John Cusack were to blurt it out from his microphone, people would start to listen to it and take it seriously. So, hey, Kelly Smith's with us here tonight. I think one of our longest served members, Kelly from California, is with us tonight. Hey, Terry Dodd's with us as well. Hey, Terry says, hey, everybody, I hope S2598 passes before I get to retirement age, right? You know, Terry, you're saying what I'm thinking. You know, I'm 52 years old now, and I was 34 when I started this thing, and I have to start thinking to myself, wow, you know, there's two ways that this, number one, the strongest thing I'm going to say tonight, the lending system is dead. It's done. It's toast. There's no saving it. There should be no saving it. The loans will not be paid. The loans absolutely will be canceled. Now, this could happen tomorrow. Joe Biden canceling student loans by executive order, which I think he will do very meaningfully when we get bankruptcy rights back. So it could happen very quickly. Or it could take the rest of your life and they wind up canceling the loans because of your demise. So which would you rather? I think you'd rather that first thing, right? Well, now is the time for you to be helping us fight. And whether we get that long, painful, civilly, socially unrestful unwinding, or whether we get a clean, quick death, which results in many happy people with a renewed sense of confidence in their country and their government, and all the good economic stimulus that comes from it, and people able to, you know, have kids and get married and start businesses and do all those things that normal people do, that remains to be seen. And honestly, guys, I kid you not, much depends on how hard the people in this group fight. As I said, we wouldn't have a bankruptcy bill to fight for, but for this group. I don't think we'd be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order, but for this group. So what we do matters, guys. You have no idea how important you are. Speaking of Hollywood, to quote Hollywood fictional character John Connor from Terminator 4, you have no idea how important you are. And that is true. You know, it only takes one person to make that one perfect phone call to get that one Republican senator to co-sponsor our bill. It only takes one person to make that perfect phone call that, you know, maybe gets us on with Tucker Carlson. And that changes everything. Not sure that would change everything, but it would only take one person to make that perfect phone call, perfect email, perfect Twitter, perfect tweet to get that first Republican governor to stand up and say, Mr. President, enough. I will not let the great state of Florida be strangled by $120 billion in mostly federal student loan debt. I, Governor Ron DeSantis, am calling on the president to cancel these loans. It only takes one person to make that happen. And I'm talking about all Republican governors everywhere. It could be Chris Sununu of South Dakota. They are underwater on their loans as well, vis-a-vis the state budget. It could be Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. As I said, could be the governor of Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, governor of Alabama, Kay Ivey. Could be the governor of Tennessee, Bill Lee. Could be the governor of Missouri. Could be the governor of Maryland, Virginia, any of these states where student loan debt now exceeds the entire state budget. That is prime hunting ground for a Republican governor. Could be Doug Ducey in Arizona. Only takes one person, guys. One person. Could be you. You know, there's a lot riding on this, and you have way more power than you think you might have. But it's whether you try and exercise that power or not that will make all the difference. So I agree. If you're not doing nothing, if you're sitting there waiting, watching, and worrying, eating popcorn, reading Forbes magazine, and walking around life with your tail in between your legs, and you're not doing anything, you don't intend to do anything, you think that somebody else is going to pull your weight for you, just leave. We don't need you here. We're not here for your entertainment. And as I said, you are not better than us. You know, we have Harvard grads we have Harvard Law School grads in our group. Believe it or not, it's true. So don't think that you can Don't think that you can hide in a crowd, because the one thing I've learned, even with 1.3 whatever million people on this group, guys, when you assume that somebody else is going to pull your weight for you, nothing happens. So as corny as it may sound, you want to see this problem solved, you got to be the change you want to see, or whatever they say. But yeah, I'm right there with you, Terry. You know, I haven't even started saving for retirement. I've got nothing. I gave everything I have to this stupid student loan justice fight. So time's getting short for me where I need to start thinking about that kind of a thing. Hey, Tiffany Klein's with us tonight. Hey, Tiffany, she says, Alan, you should make a TikTok for student loan justice and go live. It will go viral. We have a TikTok account, Tiffany. Indeed, we do. I'm still trying to find a way to hook it up to our restream so that I can easily and without too much trouble stream on TikTok. But by all means, if anybody else out there has made super neat little TikTok videos, if you want to, or any kind of video that we can throw up on TikTok, and I don't even know much about TikTok, guys. I don't do that stuff. But if you have a video that is TikTokable, TikTok quality stuff, send it to us. Send it to Heather at studentloanjustice.org, or send it to me, Alan, at studentloanjustice.org, and we will throw it up on TikTok. I think that would be cool. Van Gianru says, your book is on Audible too. Oh, good. I did not know that. So yeah, The Student Loan Scam. That's the second plug for my book. I never do that. Tiffany Klein says, I bet if you make TikTok go live, you're going to get millions more signing the petition and helping us. Hey, you know, I'd love to do it right now. I, as a normal person, am totally and completely overwhelmed by all the platforms we are on. Like, it's a huge investment of time. Like, you know, between Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and email and keeping our website up to date, and probably about 3 or 4 other platforms, Getter and other platforms that we have to continuously update. Guys, I'm telling you, it's a real grind. If anybody out there wants to maybe volunteer to honcho our TikTok account and really keep it current and vibing and doing stuff, we could really use the help. We are a 100% volunteer organization, guys. Let me tell you. When I say grassroots, I'm not kidding. This is for real grassroots. We don't have a staff. We don't even have a budget saved for what we need to keep our little home office from getting the power turned off and our rent paid. We don't have a lobbying arm. All we have is people. All we have is normal people like you and me. Normal, typically distressed student loan borrowers. And to everybody here I see tonight, I see you guys all out there doing the work. And let me say, I salute you. You know, we are the pioneers. We are the tip of the spear. We are the spear, and we have a lot to be proud of for all that we've gotten done, particularly over the past 2 years. I mean, we have made such tremendous progress. You all deserve something. But at least the satisfaction of knowing that you all were part of it, I guess that's going to have to suffice for now. But I salute all of you, and I can only hope that everybody watching this will be encouraged. It feels good to fight, and we're getting stuff done, and we have an army of muscle to flex. Can you imagine if even a tenth of us, even 1.3 million, if even 130,000 people every day were doing our daily actions? We would blow up the Twitter accounts of everybody that we wanted to. We would shut down the phone switchboards of every member of Congress, like every day. That's how strong we would be. Do you guys not understand how strong we can be? And that will happen when you help us. You sitting there. So, Pretty in Pink. You're right, Tiffany. Yeah, John Cusack, Pretty in Pink. That was the movie I was thinking of. Thank you. There was also Say Anything a few years after that, which, again, John Cusack really nailed it. He's been doing some very good movies lately. There was a haunted hotel room movie that literally was like almost, it was one of the creepiest movies I've seen in quite some time. Like who's that director, that famous director that makes just incredibly surreal, creepy movies? Very famous guy, loves yoga. It was like that. It was like on that level of scariness. So yeah, John Cusack, good guy. Hey, Justin Shank posted an article. I'm not going to go into that right now. Hey, Giovanni Stelli, new to our group, signed the petition and shared it to my social media as well. Thank you, Giovanni. Totally appreciate your efforts, man. Glad you're here with us tonight. So, yeah, the Kardashians. I can't even tell you how many tweets I have sent to Kim Kardashian and her ex-husband, Kanye West, and many others trying to get Snoop Dogg, trying to get them to at least spread the love about our petition. That would be helpful. We've got 1.1 no, we've got 1.1 something million signatures on our petition. We should have, these are the big numbers that I haven't said yet tonight, guys. Of the 43.4 million federal student loan borrowers in the country, before the pandemic, 36 point something million of them were underwater on their loans. So 36 million people, and that's just federal loans, are losing sleep over their loans. All those people should be signing our petition. All those people should be on our group. Like, we've still got a massive ceiling for growth. You have no idea. But again, it all starts with you. All starts with you. So just remember that. We need you. We need your efforts. You have no idea how important you are. In the immortal words of John Connor, Doug Grossman says, please don't tell me you actually live there in the home office apartment. If you do, you are more of a man than I ever thought. Yeah, that's the reality, Doug. And believe me, our digs right now are the best digs we've almost ever had in the 17-year battle that we've been engaged in. I have lived under bridges over the past I have slept under bridges over the past 17 years, homeless shelters. I lived in an RV for 3 years. I had some very dank. I lived in a hostel in Washington, D.C. for nearly 3 years. So I'm pretty happy with our situation right now. Believe me. But guys, it shouldn't be this hard. We need you helping with us, and as I said, this group is way more respectable than you might imagine. We've been featured on 60 Minutes. We've broken stories in the New York Times. We've broken some of the most important research on the student loan topic over the past 17 years. And maybe this is, go to our Medium site, studentloanjustice.medium.com, right there. Here, go to our Medium site. Read the past 7 or 8 articles that we've published. There is some jaw-dropping, unreported research in there. And I stand 1,000% behind the veracity of our research, by the way. The one thing that we've ever done on this topic is research and quality research. And we have broken some very important stories. And the stories that you're going to read there in that Medium platform, many of the headlines, you may not even believe. You may be like, no, this can't be right. It's right, guys. It's right. You have no idea how terrible the media is on this problem right now. Having said that, quick caveat, I had to make a correction in one of our research papers yesterday, which I almost never have to do. It wasn't a mistake, but the claim, and I've been making this claim, is that over half of student loan borrowers were not making payments before the pandemic. That's true. And that's still true today. But the report that we wrote, at one point, I was considering the number of people who technically are in repayment, but are making $0 payments. And the Department of Education, they list the number of people who are in IDR in 2 different ways. In one report, it says that there are 14.9 million people enrolled in IDRs, income-driven repayment programs. That's the joke that our enemies are trying to foist yet another one upon us. But in one report, the Department of Education said 14.9 million borrowers. But in other reports from the Department of Education, they go, no. There's only 8.5 million people enrolled in IDRs. And it turned out that whether it was 14.9 million or 8.5 million made a marginal difference in that particular paper that we wrote. So it's still true that more than half of all borrowers were not making payments before the pandemic. But when you include the $0 payment people who are technically enrolled in an IDR, but making a $0 payment, it's not 7 million people. It's actually turns out to be about 4.25 million people. And I almost didn't change it. I didn't want to change it, but the important thing to us is the truth, not the spin, not the media garbage out there. It's the truth. And so, and I don't think I've had to change anything, or I've voluntarily elected to change our reports in a long time. But this is one change that I did make. So now I can no longer say that before the pandemic, 64.3%, that's nearly 2/3 of everyone, was not paying on their loans. I can't say that, and I won't say that. I will say that before the pandemic, when you include the $0 payment people, 58.9% of all borrowers were not paying before the pandemic. And it might actually be 64.3%, but we are, my whole point with all this, guys, is that we are very careful, thorough, ethical, aimed for only the truth, and I would say conservative researchers here. Talking about myself in the plural, apparently. Me, myself, and I. We do very careful investigations, and we never make any claims that we cannot support strongly with usually Department of Education data that any reporter can go and vet for themselves. So go to our Medium site and check out some of our claims. It's jaw-dropping. And we need you to spread those around, because the media is crap, guys. It just is. The media used to be way better 10, 15 years ago. The media has become fucking terrible. Pardon my French. They run after shiny objects, and they don't take any risks. They don't do any independent assessment of the facts. They're like, oh, Brookings said it, so it must be true. So whatever Brookings says, they take as the gold standard, which is nonsense. The Brookings is putting out some garbage data right now. So the media is terrible, guys. And so it's kind of like the revolution will not be televised type of thing. Word of mouth is going to be what gets us to where we need to go. We cannot count on the media. We cannot. And we've done well in the media, particularly recently. As I said, the New York Times recently, Fox News, other stuff. You know, we are very happy to go on the media wherever we can, but we cannot count on the media, guys. You gotta fight your own battle on this block, guys. That's just the way it's always been. So please just remember that. All right, guys. I think I've gone maybe a little too long tonight. I think maybe I should wrap it up. A couple other comments here I see from Vanjie. I tell the people who gripe about Remember in November that they would do best to join our petition and movement. You're so right, Vanjie. Very important point. There's a lot of Democratic operatives out there, and a lot of people who just really want Democrats to win. They fear Donald Trump or whatever, you know, for their own reasons. They really, really, really want the Democrats to win. And so they have lately been attacking us and saying, how could you be so selfish? How could you be so narrow-minded as to put your stupid little student loan issue ahead of the Democratic Party? Do you want fascism? Shame on you. And that's what they're saying. And to them, I say, it doesn't matter what we say, what we as a group say or do. The fact of the matter is, no matter what anybody who has a dog in the fight says, there are 38 million people in the country who believed that Joe Biden was going to cancel loans, and fewer than that, but still many millions of people who believed that Joe Biden was going to return bankruptcy protections to student loans before the election. He blatantly betrayed us. And wagging your finger at us, who are only making that point, you know, the people who Biden betrayed, they're not going to rush out to vote blue no matter who. They're just not. It's not going to happen. That's just a reality. That is a natural truth, a natural social truth. So people who would wag their finger at us and tell us to toe the line, number one, they can go fuck themselves. I don't like the Democrats. I don't like the Republicans. This group is a fiercely nonpartisan group. So that there's that. But more importantly, if those people are really, really concerned that the Democrats are facing an extinction level event in November, their time, and I understand why they would be very concerned. If they are really concerned, their time and energy is far, far, far better spent helping us convince Joe Biden to do the right thing, rather than try and pull a rug over this problem and silence our voices. That's ridiculous. People aren't stupid, and no amount of social media massaging is going to change that fact. That's a very important point, Vanjie. I rarely make that point, but it's very important. I also want to give a shout out to Michael Chaney, who was featured in the New York Times the other day. Michael's a truck driver, and we have a lot of people work with their hands in this group, guys. 40% of them graduated. Mike Rowe is an absolute inane idiot when he tries and pit working people against student loan borrowers, because they're the same people. But thanks to Mike Chaney for putting a face to a real face to who the student loan borrowers really are. Same thing to Vanjie, by the way. Vanjie originally borrowed $26,000, repaid $92,000 on a $26,000 loan, now owes $132,000 on a $26,000 loan. Vanjie has been featured in a bunch of stuff lately. I can't remember. Were you featured in The Guardian? I don't know. All this media coverage kind of blends together after a while in my own head. But I know Vanjie was certainly featured very prominently at The Balance, which is the most recent good article that has come out. So thanks to all you guys out there. I'm just thrilled that we're actually becoming a real living, breathing, viable community. And I'm so happy to see that the comments below terrible hit piece articles, of which there is an avalanche coming at us every day nowadays. I'm so glad to see in the comments, sometimes most of the comments are now us, people on our side, fighting on our side rather than against us. That is such a big thing. I'm so glad that almost all opposition to bankruptcy has evaporated and, for all intents and purposes, has disappeared. I almost can't even find anyone anymore who will stand up and oppose our argument for the return of bankruptcy protections, which lies at the core of this whole thing, guys. So you have no idea how close we are. It's kind of like there's a huge house of cards, and it's only going to take one more card pull out before we finally get this thing solved. You know what I mean? You could be the person that it's a very unstable system, and that's a very good thing. It was bad people in Washington, D.C. that destabilized this whole thing and blew this whole thing up. We didn't wreck this lending system. This lending system tried to wreck us. So okay, guys, I'm going to leave it there at that, but I hope you're thrilled. I hope you're impressed and enthused. I think it was 16 candles. I think you're right, Tiffany. What did we say before? Something else, but anyways. And by the way, forward this to John Cusack if you can. I would buy that guy a beer if I was in Chicago or wherever he is. But if he ever finds himself in the Northwoods of Wisconsin and he wants to hang out, I would totally buy the guy a beer or whatever. So, all right, guys, I'm going to leave it there at that. Let's hit this next week very hard. Last thing I'll say, please do our daily action. If you forget everything that was said tonight, at least remember that. Do our daily action every day. They're quick. They're fun. They take seconds, like less than a minute every day. Work it into your daily routine, and you have no idea how strong we will become. So good luck, guys. Good luck out there. Hang in there. Keep fighting. Godspeed. And God bless everyone.